So the topic for today is how do I fit into the realm of seva? I want to keep it very short and sweet. Anything and everything that I'm speaking is purely for my own purification, and everything that I'm going to speak here today is already very well known to you all. There is nothing new. Only thing is just a reminder, a gentle reminder for every one of us, because sometimes we get lost in things. So it's always, I always strongly subscribe to the notion of going back to the basics. It's very, very crucial, and that is the attempt that we are doing here. So, Srila Prabhupada says this in his letter to Shyamsundar Prabhu. Yes, it is good fortune that you can serve Krishna in so many ways: to work, to write, to speak, to paint, to build. All of these talents must be employed in Krishna's service. That will make you perfect. We are so fortunate to be in this human form of life and to have the opportunity and the capacity to serve Krishna. And as there is very little time, we must do as much each day as we possibly can to serve Krishna and to become always engaged in the thoughts and activities of Krishna. So that is the central theme for today. How do I fit myself into the realm of seva? So we'll get started with the definition. So Srila Prabhupada very expertly has chosen to translate the word, the Sanskritam word bhakti, as not as just devotion, but he has actually translated that as devotional service. Bhakti yuta seva. It's very crucial to understand that. Bhakti, if you really look at it, right, bhakti is an emotion. It is an emotion. It is a state of consciousness in the mind. And seva is something that you do. You render service. When you do render service, there are two aspects of it: the person who is serving, the servant, and to the person to whom you're serving to, right? So seva is a two-way traffic. That somebody has to serve, be willing to serve, and then someone is on the opposite side is actually receiving that service, right? So service is external. It is a way of it is a way of translating your inner emotion, the internal emotion, into action. For example, if I tell my wife, I love you, my dear, every single day, but I do not even pick one spoon in the kitchen or help her in any way, but I simply say, do the lip service, would that translate into anything? I would like to keep this very open and engaging for all of you. Do you think that that will really help us if we were to just simply do the lip service and not really translate our inner emotions or intentions into action?
It won't, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. It won't, right? So that's why bhakti is an internal aspect, your innermost intention to love Krishna, but that has to translate into an external action. And that's why, if you remember our Srila Gurudev's quotes, right? Guru Maharaj says, I went blank. Sorry, honestly, I went blank. I was trying to recollect. So many things came and then I went blank. Anyways, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmrana yudhya mai arpita manobuddhir mam evaishyasya samshayah. Krishna says, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So this is the process. When we engage, we're not just engaging our services just for the sake of doing something mindlessly, without any aim, without any intentions. We are doing it only to please Krishna, right? With your activities, see that is the practical aspect. And these activities are directed towards Krishna, and your mind and intelligence too. So when you do your service, when I'm cooking prasadam, when I'm distributing books, when I'm taking my son to swimming class, when I'm going to Sabji Mandi, when I'm going to run a scrum meeting at office, when I'm running big projects at the corporate setup, whatever I'm doing, if my mind and intelligence is fixed on Krishna and direct my activities with an intention to please the Lord, Sri Radha Kalachandji, for example, then that is the perfection. You will attain me without doubt. You will attain me without doubt. So we would want to translate our inner intentions into actions, and that is called seva. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalair indriyairapi yoginah karma kurvanti samgam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. This is from Bhagavad Gita 5.11. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body. Act, again, it's an act. It is a way you are translating your emotions into action. You act with body, mind, and intelligence. Karmana, kayana means body, manasa means mind, and buddhya means intelligence. You got to employ all these three faculties in the service of the Lord. And even with senses, Kevalair indriyair api. So even the senses has to be engaged only for the purification, only for the purpose of purification. Okay, so that is the intention. Hrishikesha sevanam bhakti uttam. The topmost bhakti is when I serve the Supreme Lord. Hrishik means senses. Isha means the supreme controller of these senses. Hrishik ena means with these same rishiks, with these senses, I am serving the Supreme Lord. And that is the goal. So what is the definition? Bhakti is not just an emotion, not a state of consciousness, but actually something that is expressed in the form of an activity, in the form of a service, and that is called devotional service. So let's look at a practical tip here. The practical tip is obviously, we need to always be engaged in the service of the Lord. But I don't get that feeling, honestly, I don't really get that, especially when I'm engaging myself in the chanting, for example. Chanting is also one of the service. Chanting is also one of the service to the Supreme Lord. But I don't feel like doing it. So as these, the so-called productivity gurus, these YouTubers, as they say, right? Act your way to the feeling. Sometimes we may have to act our way to the feelings, and sometimes we may have to feel our way to acting. It's like a crude example is, let's say I want to exercise every day because I want to keep my body fit, my mind fit, and I want to be healthy so that I can do some better service to the Lord. Now, if I want to do exercise every single day, in the beginning I would be supercharged. I want to go full on and do everything. But after some time, if especially, again, this is very crucial. Modes of material nature are continuously acting on me, and especially, and I can definitely speak for myself. I am a very passionate person. I am unfortunately, even though how much ever I struggle to come into the mode of goodness, I personally myself I've seen myself in mode of passion the most. So in the people who are very passionate are really passionate in the beginning, but then the consistency is always a challenge for people who are in the mode of Rajoguna. So in those cases, I still have to force myself in those cases, act my way to the feelings. Like how Srila Prabhupada says, if you cannot chant, if you cannot cry for Krishna, act your way to feel that you're really crying. Cry that you cannot cry, right? And sometimes you have to feel our way to acting, as they say, do it until you make it. or fake it until what is that? Fake it until you make it. But of course, you really have to be very practical around it. So long story short, mind, body, and soul. Mind is where the emotion is, the bhakti, and the body is through which you can actually render service to the Lord Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So we got to engage all these three faculties to be able to, render service. If you cannot, Mataji is raising a hand there. Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, I have to interrupt. I just have one small question. So, on the first point, when we have bhakti, we naturally feel like to do something for Lord. We see the presence of Lord everywhere, and we want to utilize everything for the service of Lord.
Yeah.
But on the second point, if we are not there, we force ourselves. But at some point, Krishna knows everything. He is in our heart. So how to fake to Krishna? That's like, I really feel sometimes if I'm faking also, he knows everything. How can I fake? So on that point, Prabhuji, if you can guide, please, please.
I can certainly add, Mataji, whatever I can think, but we can keep this forum very open too. Yeah, yes, you're right, Mataji. I can only fake it to some level, and after that, personally, I have faked it for so many years, and I got tired. You're right. You're absolutely spot on, Mataji. Eventually I'll get tired. I'll tell you one thing. For example, I had this, in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness, I was more than being Krishna conscious, I was mic conscious. Means as soon as I walk into the temple, everybody should recognize that I'm a great singer. Everybody should recognize me that I'm a great speaker, and they should immediately hand over the mic to me. Trust me, I struggled with that. I faked as if I'm a good devotee for many years, many years. Who will give me this mic? Who will give me this mic? Who will recognize me? As soon as I go into the temple, everybody should recognize me. This was the consciousness of my mindset. I literally struggled so much on that. I faked it, but eventually, that did not yield anything. You are absolutely spot on, Mataji. So, I think at the end of the day, the intentions. We go back, we introspect, we really, introspect and plead the Lord that this is where I am. It's very, very crucial to understand where we are. It's very, very crucial on a journey where we are. So, I don't know how to, say this, but, we got to become very thoroughly honest with our own selves. That is definitely one thing that we need to. And to that end, another practical tip. I actually maintain, just like, how many of you have heard of this sadhana chart? Did we talk about the sadhana chart thing in the last time?
The Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha one.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the sadhana chart. Means, how many rounds I do in the morning, 4 a.m., how many I do. Have you seen an Excel spreadsheet?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, some of the devotees, in the past have employed that. So you basically open an Excel spreadsheet. You put, how many basically swadhyay, chanting, and any service, and then they put time slots between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. how many rounds I completed. From 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. how many rounds I completed. From 8 a.m. to afternoon lunch how many rounds I completed, and they track. It's basically a way of becoming consistent and tracking your own progress. So that is called a sadhana chart. Am I making sense so far?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so just like the way we have a sadhana chart, here is a practical tip I can think of. Maintain an anarthas chart. Means you have a spreadsheet, and of course you got to make this very, very personal. Don't put it in a Google Drive and share it with the whole world. If you want, people will not. If I share my anartha chart, nobody would ever talk to me. So the idea is anartha chart. You'll have lust, greed, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, all those 6 columns. And introspect.
It will be a big chart.
Huh?
It will be a big chart.
Whatever it is, yes, it will be 6 columns. And then every single day before I sleep, I actually say, did I feel greedy today? Did I feel lusty today? and then start, writing, why did I feel, start tracking how many times among, for example, in a given 7-day week, how many times I felt lusty, how many times I felt greedy. Track that, and translate that tracking into your prayers. That is that when you start tracking how miserable I am, how much of nonsensical this mind is, then you can actually get, that will actually humble us. So point is, become extremely, in one sense, self-centered, and become extremely introspective about one's own self. Just like the way they say, right, in the flight, if there is an emergency, do you put the mask on others next to you, or do you put the mask on yourself first?
Yourself first.
So help yourself before you can help others. Very, very crucial. We generally go do seva, preaching, all that, we try to help others without actually helping our own self, and that is actually easily leads us into the faking thing, right? But at a personal level, the point is, act your way to the feelings, and feel your way to acting it sometimes. That is at the personal level. Yeah, I hope that helps. In the interest of time, I would like to continue, Mataji, but I really love the reflections here, really love the engagement. So the point here is, we are unique in Krishna's creation. Each and every one of us, each and every one of us are unique. We are given a special gift by Krishna. We are part and parcel of Krishna. That means, let's say if you have a automobile, a car, and car is obviously is a mechanical engineers talk about it is in a bill of materials, right? Engineering bill of materials, whatever they call it. So in the bill of materials, there are different parts, and each part has a purpose to serve that machine. Yes? No? I take it as a yes.
Yeah.
Right? So similarly, we being part and parcel of Krishna, we have a purpose. We need to identify, what is my purpose on this planet? What is my purpose in the context of Krishna consciousness? So I'd like to invite anybody quickly to read this passage, a letter that Srila Prabhupada has written to Gargamuni Prabhu. Anybody? Volunteers? Matajis, Prabhujis?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
For serving the Lord, we require to sacrifice our life, our wealth, our intelligence, and our words. One can serve the Lord with these 4 possessions. If not, with 3. If not, then with 2, or if 1, and that is sufficient to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I wish that you can utilize your best talents organization, and the result utilized for Krishna's satisfaction is on the absolute platform. To make the idea more clear, if I am translating Srimad Bhagavatam, and if you are contributing for its publication and helping for its distribution, this means there is no difference between your service and my service. In the absolute platform, there is no such distinction, and service is always on the absolute platform. One has to make the best use of his talent for the service of Krishna that is wanted. Best example is Arjuna, that he utilized his talents, military science, in the service of Krishna. Letter to Gargmuni, Montreal, 7th June 1968.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for reading that. So as you can see, for serving the Lord, we require to sacrifice, whatever you can. One can serve the Lord with any of these things, if not all of them, with 3. What are the 4 things that Srila Prabhupada is talking about? Our life, wealth, intelligence, or words, right? We can engage in any capacity. We can engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, right? And to make the idea clear, if I'm translating Srimad Bhagavatam, which Srila Prabhupada is doing, and if you are contributing for its publication and helping it for its distribution, this means there is no difference between your service and my service. This is the magnanimity of the Acharya. This is the magnanimity of the Acharya, because an Acharya, a Vaishnava, a pure devotee, a Uttama Bhagavatar, equates his service to even a tiny little service that we may render. For example, if you go on the street and distribute one book of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is saying there is absolutely no difference between the enormous amount of nights and days that he has spent translating his books, translating these Bhagavatam and everything, same as that one single book that you would have given to somebody on the street. Just like how Lord Sri Ramachandra, when we all know the story of Hanumanji comparing himself with a tiny little squirrel, right? Hanumanji is taking huge rocks and putting into the ocean to construct the bridge, and the tiny little squirrel is just scratching the surface of a sand to do the same thing. And for Sri Lord Ramchandra, there is absolutely no difference between that. That is the quality of the Lord. One of the quality of the Lord is completely renounced. He is willing to give complete credit to his devotee. And that same quality comes to the Vaishnava Acharyas too. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that he is willing to actually, saying that there is absolutely no difference. So one has to make the best use of his talent. This is the conclusion here. One has to make the best use of your talent in the service of Krishna. That is wanted. Best example is Arjuna. When you talk about Arjuna, if there is one thing that we got to talk about Arjuna, what is that his talent is? If somebody says, what's this guy's name? Who was the richest guy? If somebody takes this guy, what's his name? Warren Buffett. If somebody says Warren Buffett, what does that mean? What is the one single thing that comes to your mind?
Wealth.
Huh?
Wealth.
Wealth, or yes, wealth, correct. Wealth, or in a stock market, right? Because he's an expert. So if I say Arjuna, what is one thing that comes to mind?
He's expert in archery.
He is expert in archery. Perfect. That's why Krishna says, Tasmad ekena manasa, with one single pointed focus. If we can drive our intentions to one single pointed intention of serving the Lord and utilize the best talent that we have, that is the best arrangement. If you open the can and uncover the gift what you have, and if you can realize what that gift is, that's it. You can engage in that service and then completely, transcend the material modes of nature and then become, Krishna conscious completely. Utilize your best talents. Service is absolute. And the example is Arjuna. Yat karoshi yad asnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurishva madarpanam. Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, just do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. And that's what Krishna is saying. Krishna has given everyone something extraordinary. Then this is again coming from Srila Prabhupada. Krishna has given everyone something extraordinary. Each one of you. Vihari Govinda Prabhuji, Shamala Gopi Mataji, Tulsi Sharan Prabhuji, Leela Vilasini Mataji, every single, including myself, we are all gifted with one great gift, extraordinary talent. We got to know what that is. Once you know that, simply engage that in the service of the Lord. Right? So do what you like, that which nourishes you. Of course, in an organization there will be services that are absolutely need to be done whether we like it or not. Please do those if as per the need. But most importantly, among the services that we do, it's also very, very critical that we choose a service that we like the most, that we love the most. Okay? In the interest of time, I'm going to read this. This is again coming from Srila Prabhupada. Any work you do it very nicely. That is expert. Don't do haphazardly. To your best talent, to your best capacity, try to finish it very nicely, whatever it may be. You are interested in some work, do it nicely. That is expert. If you think that you are unable to do that work, then whatever work you can do, you take it. But do it nicely. That is expert. Don't imitate. So see this, couple of things to drive from this. Do not imitate. Do not, for example, I'll tell you this. When we all had our, the get together a couple of weeks back, And I'm not doing lip service. I continuously tell my wife this thing. The best ever khichdi that I ate on that day is for example, Rasraj Prabhuji did that. Best ever, guaranteed, hands down, right? And I tell my wife that, hey, that's the best thing I ever had. And I cannot, if I try to make that, I cannot, it's like, imitating. I can't, but I may be good at something else. Someone else is maybe good at something else. So I cannot just imitate. I cannot imitate, but I can take inspiration. So whatever you do, do it very nicely. That is an expert. Types of services. There will be some services that actually drain you. Like boilerplate, boilerplate kind of tasks. Those things have to be checklists. They have to be done because as a part of, for example, if you are doing an event management, you got to deal with some of the logistics. You got to deal with some of the things that needs to be done, whether they're motivating or interesting or not for you. So some of those services can actually drain your energy, and you become at the end of the day very, very tired, right? And there will be some services that can actually strengthen you too. So it's very, very important. Start. In fact, I would even dare to say that start with those services that actually strengthen you. Okay. Start those services that actually can nourish you, that you like the most. Like Srila Prabhupada is saying, if you think that you are unable to do that work, then whatever work you can do, take that up. Take that up. Take something that is interesting to get started with, because you do services that completely drain. Sometimes, I've seen devotees who are really drained. They're doing a lot of services. They're doing absolutely amazing services, no doubt, but at the cost of personal preservation too sometimes. So that is not healthy. You got to look at this whole thing as a long-term journey, not just, run in the beginning, extremely get tired, and then you give up everything. We are looking here for a long-term way of, just like the way how I would engage myself for a long-term chanting, same thing, long-term way of, long-term vision here, not a short, instant gratification. Yeah. So services that can drain you, and there will be services that can strengthen you. Choose the ones that actually can strengthen you in the beginning, at the beginning. If there are some boilerplate, tasks that needs to be done, so be it. Take them up too if it is needed to be done. But most importantly, ensure that among the services that you're doing, services that can nourish you is a part of that equation. Yeah. So that is that. Now, there are enormous amounts of services that we can do. There are so many areas, and these are only an indication of this list. I'm not saying this is, if I miss something that you're already working, doing some service, for example, it was not intentional. So, but what I'm trying to say is, engage in services. For example, in Sankirtan, you have preaching, you have book distribution, you have prasad distribution, you have events organization. Some of you may not feel comfortable actually doing book distribution. So be it. That's fine. If there is a way you can actually do that, try your best. Try to meditate and pray in your prayers to Krishna in the form of Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting. Pray to Krishna that I may get that strength to do book distribution. But sometimes it is not your forte. You're not meant for that. So be it. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Do something else. Cook for prasadam, or organize events. You can still do Sankirtan through different ways. You don't have to. There is nothing like there is only one way of pleasing Krishna. There are zillion ways of pleasing Krishna. Arts. You have performing arts. You are good at making movies. Make a best movie for Krishna. You're good at drawing. Make the best drawing for Krishna. For example, Srila Prabhupada in his letters, you can see how he was guiding so many devotees like Jadurani Mataji and all, to open these windows to spiritual world. We talked about it last time too. Engage your talents. Crafts, there's one thing. I think it would be very nice if you would make nice silver jewelry for Radha Damodara deities, and in this way your talent will be used in the most perfect way. You are a musician, go ahead. I'm so glad you're playing music for Krishna. It is a great service of your talent. Anyone's special talent should be engaged in the service of the Lord and thereby become successful in his life. See that? If you have a special talent, make sure that you're employing that in the service of Krishna. You're a good writer, go write. For example, for those who are good at writing blogs and all that, It appears that you have good talent for writing. So kindly continue to develop in this way and write more and more of your realizations based upon your books, based upon our books. So Srila Prabhupada is guiding, we have so many books that Srila Prabhupada is giving. Go write. Leadership, management, business, healthcare, finance. Sky is the limit. You can employ as many talents that you have in the service of Krishna. But of course, there are some pitfalls. We're going to talk about that. But understand at the beginning, at least the least, that you can employ any of your talents in the service of Krishna. I think you're an expert account keeper. May Krishna bless you for talents and sincere endeavor for the service of the Lord. The more you serve, the more you become expert in everything. The more you serve, the more you become expert. Of course, there could be some limitations, right? Someone may have health related diseases or health related conditions. I know one of the devotee who externally looks very nice, but he is going through a lot of health issues. So you got to again, understand your situation. What is the best I can do in the worst situation I may be in? Somebody may be in a remote place. They don't have access to association. They don't have access to temple. They don't have access to any nearby center. So those limitations may be there. In those cases, how do I employ? I've last time I met for the Sadhu Sangha, one of our god brother, the Prabhuji actually is the one who actually drives this Amrita droplets. He is all by himself doing this wonderful service for across the globe by just being there in Abu Dhabi. He works in Abu Dhabi and then he's rendering that service. He has no access, especially in the communistic countries, in the Saudi, Middle East countries. You may not be able to express your, religious or spiritual intentions publicly. So you may have limitations like that, geographical limitations. In those cases, be vigilant. Make sure that you are, complying with the local law enforcement rules too, but still be able to serve. Some of you may be in a remote place. So engage your services. Question yourself what your talents are, and then engage accordingly. That's what I'm trying to say about that. Okay. So do it under expert guidance. This is another crucial thing. Srila Prabhupada is saying your special talents are to be engaged under the direction of spiritual master. Every talent can be employed in Krishna's service. And how do you do it? It is known to the spiritual master. You have the tendency for botany, you can grow nice flowers and fruits for Krishna. And that is the utilization of your natural tendency. So anything can be employed, but you generally seek that guidance from the authorities. Seek, if an expert spiritual master knows how to engage his devotees, his disciples in the service of Krishna. If you don't have, now that has to be taken in principle. If you don't have access to a spiritual master directly, you can actually ask your Siksha Guru in your respective Bhakti Vrikshas, or wherever your Siksha Guru, the person who is inspiring you. Let me put it this way. A Siksha Guru is nothing but not the local, necessarily the Bhakti Vriksha leader. When I use the word Siksha Guru, I mean from someone who really deeply inspires you in your heart. And from that person, you can actually seek guidance. Now, because you have come to me, it will be my prime duty. Now, this is also the duty of the Siksha Guru or of the spiritual master too, to actually engage. Now, because you have come to me, it will be my prime duty to guide you and utilize your talents for Krishna service. So it goes two ways again. The person as a sadhaka, I have to approach the spiritual master for guidance, and be sure to express your interests. Be sure to explain your talents to that guru or that inspiring person or your spiritual preceptor. And then once you have that person actually will then know how to engage you properly. I'm pleased to note that your store, the spiritual sky, is doing very well, doing successfully. Krishna has given you the nice talent of doing business. And I'm glad to see that you're using it very well. There is no need for you to contribute to my book fund immediately if you're unable to. Do it as it becomes convenient for you. This is another great quality of that spiritual preceptor. He's not demanding, hey, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. He is considerate. He's saying, for example, Srila Prabhupada is saying, there is no need for you to contribute to my book fund immediately. Baba, if you are not able to do certain specific things, don't worry, do it as it becomes convenient for you. So this is a proper guidance. This is a sign of how Srila Prabhupada is expertly guiding his disciples. This is the quality of a leader. This is the quality of a spiritual preceptor. This is the quality of a spiritual master. This is the quality of a Siksha Guru, instructing, spiritual master, to rightly engage the disciples or the people who are taking that instruction. And then when you do that under that expert guidance, you will render the rightful service for the rightful needs, and more importantly, nourishing your own inner intentions. Now there are some pitfalls. I think it's 8:38. If you can bear with me for another 2 minutes, I'll try to wrap this up, and then we'll actually have some reflections too, some more additions. No, it's not. This is not all by itself everything, and I'm open for more points to be added here. So pitfalls. Number one, PDS. How many of you know this is the famous acronym among ISKCON circles? Anybody knows this?
Pure devotional service.
Yeah, pure devotional service syndrome. Yes, you're right there, Mataji. Now, so sometimes I may think that I am way advanced. PDS. A pure devotee always thinks himself as not a devotee. That is a good attitude. If one thinks he is a big devotee, that is not good. Thinking that he is a first degree. We should not be puffed up. A devotee avoids it, remaining always in the second degree. So one knows that one should, like I was mentioning, for more than a decade I struggled with the mic consciousness. Zero Krishna consciousness. Mic. Who will give me the mic so that I can speak? That's all. That was my consciousness. So I cannot pretend like that to the world that I am a devotee. I can't fake it. So Prabhupada is saying, PDS, be very careful. I'm not a pure devotee, so that I can do whatever I want and I can do anything I want. So pitfall. In rendering services, you may bring your expertise and talents, but always be considerate and careful when you're rendering that service, that it does not actually get into the realm of ego, display of my ego. Am I making that garland to really beautifully decorate on the Lord Shri Radha Kalachandji? Or in doing so, am I actually garlanding my own false ego? That one has to exercise caution. Again, practical tip, anartha chart. Make that a practical tip. Start that spreadsheet and make encrypt it with passwords and everything, because you don't want to. It's a personal thing. You don't want unnecessarily. You can actually show your anartha chart only with one person, and that person is completely non-envious, non-judgmental, that person's intention is to uplift you in your spiritual path, and usually that is a spiritual master, or that is usually your like I said, the spiritual preceptor, right? You may want to disclose that confidentially with that person, but in general, don't share that with anybody. Anartha list. That's one practical tip there. Do not forget the true intention. Again, the same thing. Everyone has got some special talent given by God. Every one of us. We should cooperate. That means when we come together as a Sangha, we need to cooperate among ourselves. That's it. The hand can work in this way. We cannot walk with hands. That is the business of the hand. Similarly, I cannot cut the papers with my leg. So all the living entities are endowed with special, talents. We should cooperate. The hand and leg should cooperate for maintaining the whole body. Similarly, everyone should use this talent for satisfaction of Krishna. That is perfection. Not compete with one another. That is the mistake. My sambar is best. Only Guru Maharaj or so and so Vaishnava should eat only my sambar. Or my garland is the best. Only the deity should be decorated with my garland. You may be best, but at times it is very, very crucial that our intentions are checked. Krishna really puts us in those situations, especially when we are doing this seva. So please do not, again, this is not for anybody. I'm actually telling myself, I'm reminding myself not to forget the true intention. Beware of free mingling. Again, this is another important aspect, especially those who are in the leadership. It's equally applicable for everybody, but more importantly among the leaders. This, as we are rendering services, obviously we are dealing with Prabhujis and Matajis with different genders, right? Beware of free mingling, intentionally or unintentionally. especially while speaking, while rendering service, physically I may touch a Mataji unintentionally or intentionally too, or start mingling, and what I mean. Be very very careful. We are as they say, what they call the oil, the ghee, and the fire. When they come together, obviously there will be explosion. So extremely be careful, especially when mingling and doing services together as Matajis and Prabhujis, or as males and females, for a lack of better term, right? So be careful, very very careful, especially those who are leaders. More importantly, because leaders are always put under the zoom lens, and they are being continuously being monitored or seen. So be very careful. Ensure you are nourished. Very very important. Like I said in the beginning, services that can drain you, services that can nourish you, strengthen you. Choose the ones that are nourishing you also. Importantly, fear of over attachment. Don't think that you'll be fear. If I do this, you have expressed the fear of becoming attached to your musical activities. But attachment for Krishna service is not bad. If you can engage your talents for Krishna services, then that attachment will increase your Krishna consciousness status. Simply offer all of your talents and energies in the service of the Lord, and know that Krishna promises that for one who surrenders fully unto Him, He fully protects. While we are rendering service, be assured that Krishna's protection is always there. Srila Gurudev's protection is always there. So do not fear that will I get more attached to this. If it is rendered with the right intentions to serve the Supreme Lord, there is absolutely no need to worry about it. So the journey is understand where you are, especially from the modes of material nature is. Understand what that unique talent that you have, and start taking up services that actually truly nourish you. Whatever that you like. Let me put it this way. Whatever you like. We have, Srila Prabhupada has given a plethora of services. He created this ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's a perfect formula. You have unlimited ways of bringing your talents to the service of Krishna. He has created that forum for all of us. So I'll stop here. I'd like to seek reflections. If I've said anything that unintentionally or I don't know, if I've said anything unintentionally hurting anybody, please kindly excuse me. I'm also struggling myself in my own sadhana. But my hope is by sharing Krishna consciousness, that increases the beauty of Krishna consciousness and happiness. And then I can actually become of some help for myself and for the extended community. I'll stop here. Reflections, corrections, anything that you'd like to add, please.
Prabhuji, this is very helpful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Any takeaway points?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for compiling this. Actually, every single point is takeaway for us, and inculcate and reflect on all these points again and again. Thank you so much for this. We actually cannot express our gratitude to you for this. Thank you.
Thank you for the blessing, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can see you have done a lot of research. You have compiled from different places, from Srila Prabhupada's lectures. That is a lot of hard work. We can really see it's there, and you are helping us in that way. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Really grateful.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the blessings. And actually, I'm helping myself, honestly. But yeah, thank you. Any takeaways? Any corrections? I'd like to seek. Is anybody's there? Yeah.
I have one point, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I just need suggestion on that. So most of the time we don't get the service which we like, but we get the service which is required at that time. Because most of the time there are some services which need to be done, and it is not sure that you like that service, but it is required. So definitely we have to do that, and we will not be perfect in that also. So what should we do?
Sir, anybody would like to answer that?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think you have given the explanation, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Like sometimes in the office we are forced to do some work, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes Prabhuji, I don't like to do the management, but I like to do an architect. But my manager asked me to do that delivery.
Yeah.
I said that you have to do it whether you like it or not.
Correct.
Sometimes we have to accept to our best of our capacity. I would say that.
Yeah. Wonderful addition, Prabhuji. Yeah, like I mentioned, Mataji, yeah, there will be, like when I use the word boilerplate, that's what I meant. Typically, if you're an IT developer, you have to write, let's say if you're a Java developer, you have to write a lot of boilerplate code that is so that you can get to the fun part, right? Same thing, as an organizational, we are in an organization. We all are actually serving ISKCON. So there will be some tasks that are needed to be done, whether we like it or not. Sure, please, take it. But in the mix of services that you have, make sure the service that you love the most. Remember, I think very recently, I think, in our own group, it's Rasraj Prabhuji actually has sent an invitation for people to actually subscribe to the services. I don't know if you have seen it. So that's the way to do it. You can choose those services. When you have these plethora of the services, make sure you choose the ones that you like the most. But at the same time, in the mix of things that has to be done, like you said, Mataji, of the 10 tasks you're doing, make sure 6 of them or 7 of them are the ones that you love the most. And 3 of them which you don't like the most but has to be done, so be it, do it. But make sure that you have definitely one that you love the most. And sometimes if there is a flexibility, like how in Dallas Yatra here, we have that flexibility. I've seen Nityanand Prabhuji, I've seen, again, that was reflected even when Rasraj Prabhuji was sending that open forum for all of us to subscribe to different services, right? That openness is when that flexibility is there, you can actually tell the authorities that, Prabhuji, I'd like to do this for this time, but these are the areas that I am really good at. Is there a way you can engage me in those? So we can give those options too. It is, again, there's no hard and fast rule, like Srila Prabhupada himself was saying, right? If you don't know what to do, otherwise take up something else that you can do. So a genuine spiritual authority is only interested in your spiritual upliftment, and they will engage you in the right ones. And if that is, and again, like I said, it's a two-way street. It's a communication, and we have that. We are so glad and happy to be part of this Dallas Yatra, that there is so much of openness. I have in the past been in other places, so many places, where that facility was not there, that freedom was not there. I have seen both sides. So we're good, Mataji. So we have to make it open and keep that communication two-way street. I hope that answers.
Something to that.
Yes, Prabhu. Oh, you're there, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
No, I think so. First, thank you for the wonderful, really, practical, presentation. And to this specific question, right? And in general, there's a couple of things that I'd like to present. One is that this is specifically that I have experienced myself, in the sense that in an initial stage, and that can continue for some time, sometimes our mind likes to do new things. And sometimes what others are doing seems to be more interesting, just because the appreciation that they are getting in that particular service is more, right? As Srinivas Acharya Prabhu was saying, and basically we all go through this. I think you mentioned that also last time, the whole idea of the PDS, right? The whole pure devotee syndrome, that we like to be the one who's giving the class. We want to be the one who's singing the kirtan. We like to be the one who's dressing the deity, but we don't necessarily like to be the one who's changing the AC filter, for example. No one's going to appreciate you for doing that. Yeah. No one will even know you did that, right? No one's appreciating you for cleaning the toilets when everyone is gone, or making sure the shoes are all arranged in the two rooms. So many different services, or even purchasing all the bhoga that is used for the Sunday feast, let's just say. Who's asking about that? that everyone knows who's cooking, but no one knows who's cooking. So what happens is that the mind sometimes tricks us to saying that I like that service because, but behind it is this because that is saying that it is because there is more appreciation there. And we become envious of other devotees who are probably in, to the extent that sometimes we become envious of our own Guru Maharaj. Yes, especially when we are doing something nice but not appreciated, and the Guru is essentially being appreciated for something, which you should be getting credit for. So it's a very tricky situation. So initially, in the initial stages, and if we go through the nectar of devotion at some point of time, you will, if you have gone through the nectar of devotion, you will see that in the Vaidhi stage, in the Kanishta stage, essentially we are better to take any service, because as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, right? I mean, and in that thing that you read, the service is an absolute platform. Service happens on the absolute platform, which means that no one service is better than the other. And especially in the Kanishta stage, it is better to engage in any service that has been given, rather than necessarily thinking that this is what I really like to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, over a period of time, you will naturally gravitate towards certain services. Naturally gravitate. You don't even ask for it. It is just how Krishna consciousness works. You will naturally gravitate. Opportunities will come if you have the sincere desire in your heart to serve in a certain situation, right? And Guru Maharaj essentially was in a small temple in Old Vrindavan. If you ever go there, we should actually do a yatra to New Vrindavan, all of us.
Yeah.
And it was in a small temple there for years and years and years and years, and all he did was to serve the deities. And he wanted to go visit Vrindavan. He wanted to go. There was other things that are there. And later on, he was given he was seeing, devotees were getting so much appreciation for doing book distribution and for doing this and starting temples in so many different places and this, that, and that. And basically, during the entire time when Srila Prabhupada was there was nothing of that sort happened. He was not recognized except for the fact that he made really good sandesh. Yeah. Right? And then, essentially, when the opportunity was right, he was given the service to go preach, and then the rest is history. And so it's just Krishna sees. It's not. I don't think that Krishna is not watching. Yes, Krishna is seeing, and specifically Saragrahi, you see the intent. He's not necessarily seeing what you do. He's seeing why you're doing it, right? And so to always, at least for me, it's basically I have to keep asking myself that question: am I doing it to get appreciated, or am I doing it actually because I really want to serve my guru? I want to serve Sri Radha and Kalachandji. I want to serve the devotees, in various different ways, and so on and so forth. So sorry for this long explanation, but I did want to bring this point up. Always remember, we are the servant of the servant of the servant of Srila Prabhupada's mission. Not the servant, not the servant of the servants, the servants of the servants of the servants, right? And basically really removed as far as we possibly can. And sometimes those services are not very recognized and appreciated. The more we do that, Krishna will really, really reciprocate in wonderful ways. That's the process of bhakti. Does that? I'm sorry. I just wanted to add. Srinivasa Prabhu covered all of this. I just wanted to emphasize this.
No, this is very profound, Prabhuji. Very, very profound. Very, very missing part of this presentation actually was. Thank you for adding that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Really, really, really profound. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderful explanation.
And you connected the dots of how taking practical example of Srila Gurudev itself. That's just simply amazing. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Servant of the servant of the servant. Very nice. Yeah. I'm thinking I'm boss on a boss. But actually I'm das on a das.
And then Radhika Kripa Mataji shows up, and then all the dreams are finished, shattered.
Yes. Correct. All those things are dismantled at home. Yes. So nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very profound. Anything else? Anantram Prabhuji, you were saying something. Sorry if you were not That is not the intention.
No, Prabhuji, no. He wasn't saying.
Okay.
He just left actually, yeah.
Oh, sure. No worries. If not, if any other reflections? Again, what has been said is already known to you all, just my thoughts, but again, want to keep this very open, and please feel free to add. If not, thank you so much, Prabhujis and Matajis, for accepting this service, and please kindly pray. Let's actually pray together for each and every one of us at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji by chanting Hare Krishna one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.